evening. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the 2026 Cum Laude Society Induction Ceremony. We gather here to celebrate the outstanding academic achievements of the 20 new members who will be inducted into the Society, as well as to recognize the 11 members inducted last year. Founded in 1906, the Cum Laude Society honors scholastic achievement in secondary schools. The founders of the society modeled Cum Laude after Phi Beta Kappa, a collegiate honors society. In the years since its founding, Cum Laude has grown to 382 chapters, approximately 24 of which are located in public schools and the rest in independent schools. Membership is predominantly in the United States, but chapters are also located in Canada, England, France, Spain, Puerto Rico, Switzerland, and the Philippines. Our association with the Cum Laude Society dates back to 1952, when Woodbury was accepted as a member school. At that time, there were only about 100 members. Seated to my right are the 18 faculty members of the society. Seated to the left are the 11 members of the sixth form who were inducted last year. Chapter members may induct up to 20% of any graduating class, and up to 1/2 of the group may be inducted in the junior year. I would like to recognize the 11 students who were inducted last year. Please hold your applause until all names have been read. Gentlemen, would you please stand after I read your name and remain standing until all names have been called. Carson Thomas Beasley. Chase Wallace Copeland. Ding Si Hong. Fang Tianxi. Charles Simons Horner, in absentia. Renat Carlon. Paul Robert Kiesling Jr., Cash Lowry Mills, Theodore Alston Shores, Brennan James Smith, and Charles Stephen Whaley. Now, I would like to ask all candidates for membership in the Cum Laude Society for 2026 to stand as I read the formal induction statement. The distinguished record you have made at Woodbury Forest has won for you membership in the Cum Laude Society. This society is a fellowship of scholars whose purpose is to recognize excellence in academic work. As you pursue your education, it is our hope that you will accept the honor of membership in this society as a responsibility to make some contribution to the ongoing search for a greater understanding of the world in which we live. The motto of the society is Arete, Dike, Time, excellence, justice, honor. Arete includes the concept of excellence in the moral sense and is not limited to the ideal of superiority in scholarship, nor does it involve the endeavor of competing primarily for academic goals. Dike includes the concept of what is suitable and appropriate as well as just. Time includes the concept of dignity and truth as well as honor. At this time, will the fifth form inductees please take your seat. We will now induct the 10 new members from the class of 2026. Before we introduce the new members, we'd like to congratulate them on their outstanding academic accomplishments, as well as assure them that their academic excellence has not gone unnoticed. In testimony of your admission to the Cum Laude Society by the authority of the society duly granted, Dr. Holsey will present you with your certificates as you come forward. I ask all members of the audience to please hold your applause until the entire group is assembled here on the stage. Stephen Wiley Braswell Bell. Nathaniel Ryerson Brewster, in absentia. Briggs Lannon Dubuque. Charles William Gillespie. John David Jensen. Liao Shi Shang. Max Jameson Sauber. Riker Glenn Simpson. Lane Foster Warren. Dominic Alejandro Rajaya Munoz. Would the fifth form inductees please stand? We will now induct 10 members of the class of 2027 into the Cum Laude Society. To the inductees, your efforts have earned you this well-deserved recognition. We look forward to your continued academic success. Again, I ask the audience to hold your applause until all are assembled on stage. William Park Valentine III. Schaffer Chandler Brock. Chen Sehong. Andrew Bracken Latimer. Leon Yu Tin Vincent, in absentia. Lee Brian Boning. Liu Tianyi. Nam Wong. John Frank Payne. Tai Ziqi. Over to Dr. Posey, who will introduce our guest speaker for the evening.
Thank you, Ms. Mills, and I want to add my voice of congratulations to all those who've been inducted. We respect and greatly admire your commitment to scholarship and all that you've done to excel here in the classroom at Woodbury Courts. Congratulations, gentlemen. It's a great honor to introduce Robert Kendall as our cum laude speaker this year. Mr. Kendall and his wonderful wife, Ellen, are retiring this June after 44 years of loyal and faithful service to the life and well-being of the Woodbury community. The school's senior master, Mr. Kendall came to Woodbury in 1982 after graduating from the University of North Carolina as a Moorhead Scholar. Over the years, he has taught widely in the school's history department, and on the athletic fields, he has coached at every level, especially in the programs of soccer and lacrosse. You have his biography in your program, and I won't belabor it here, but I will observe on a personal note that Mr. Kendall is the last of the Woodbury faculty who taught me in the 1980s to retire. And his decision is therefore, for me, especially bittersweet. Every human community is a collection of its people. And at Woodbury, the people of our faculty, staff, and students form together a vibrant ecosystem that gives shape to our shared culture and all of our individual experiences. Throughout Woodbury's storied history, there have been on the faculty towering figures of charismatic force. There have been storytellers extraordinaire. There have been exceptional and unforgettable intellects, as well as vain and petty masters who irritate boys, who just don't see the point in following the rules. Along the way, there have been larger-than-life, myth-like coaches who somehow motivated their teams to exceed the summation of their individual parts and win rivalry games against all the odds. There are those who have literally willed their students across the finish line into a passing grade that had for the whole of the year seemed to a boy to be out of reach. There have been autocratic taskmasters balanced against the kinder and gentler sort. There have been titanic forces on the Woodbury faculty. And truth be told, over the story of our long history, there's even been a charlatan or two. As I say, men and women on the faculty form an ecosystem that shapes the culture and therefore the manners and mores of the boys. Though there is no formal job description beyond reciting the names of the sixth formers at graduation, the school's senior master is called upon, gently but undoubtedly, to embody and represent the faculty here at Woodbury. Capturing Robert Kendall accurately at a moment like this is no easy task, in part because a string of hyperbolic bromides comes off as overworn cliches that somehow miss the true essence of the man. What I would like most to say is that for 44 years, Robert Kendall has made us better. He is among the finest, most decent gentlemen that I have ever met. He has never shirked a duty, nor complained about the burden of his considerable responsibilities. He has been a constant presence in the full life of the whole school. His integrity is unassailable. His personal honor is beyond reproach. He is unfailingly dependable, trustworthy, and responsive. Rain or shine, he is coaching the boys, doing his duty, not for fanfare or reward, not for favor or optics, but somehow because it has been and remains a pure reflection of the core of his character, a window into his robust interior health and vitality. And on that point, there is absolutely no debate. Of all of us veterans on the faculty, Robert has aged the least. There is no unnecessary drama around Mr. Kendall. Like a good Englishman, he just gets on with it, all the while providing us a model of professionalism and goodness that elevates all who are tracking. For decades, he has been supported and encouraged by his wonderful wife, Ellen. We know Mrs. Kendall for her genuine positivity and her kindness, expressed tangibly in acts known and unknown, including having taught dozens of faculty children to swim at our outdoor pool over the years. Robert and Ellen Kendall are the essence of the decency to which we should all aspire. Robert, it has been a great privilege to be your student, to be your colleague, And I'm happy to present you, sir, as this year's cum laude speaker.
Thank you for that most kind and generous introduction, and I really appreciate the invitation to speak this evening. And first of all, congratulations to all the inductees who have joined the Cum Laude Society tonight. My wife and I joined this community in 1982. To borrow a thesis statement I've come across once or twice in student papers, life at Woodbury in 1982 was, wait for it, similar but different to life at Woodbury today. My colleagues are groaning back here at that thesis statement. To start with, in the early 1980s, new students began their Woodbury experience with 6 weeks of required summer school. Once the regular school year was underway, weekends ended on Sunday, not Monday. Sit-down meals in those days were more frequent than they are today, and faculty meetings were rather less frequent. Tobacco use was quite common. In the basement of the old science building, which stood just in this parking lot out here, there lived Monty, a 12-foot python. Monty escaped a few times, so the science teachers kept a sharp machete next to his box, just in case. Students stayed in touch with the wider world by telephone. There were 1 or 2 telephones on each dorm hallway, and many students subscribed to a daily newspaper. When it turned cold, unscrupulous seniors would head over to Taylor and Turner, and these seniors would tell the freshmen they needed to pay $100 for the heat. The school archives are silent about the effectiveness of this fundraising. And our bus driver, James Newbury, when he pulled into the McDonald's following a game of collegiate, we found out that we weren't terribly welcome. Not because of our behavior, which of course was immaculate, but because of what was in our wallets. The cash register did not have a slot for a $2 bill, which was what the Woodbury athletes received for a hamburger, fries, and a drink. What about some changes that have happened at Woodbury since that time? Well, here are 3. If you take a look at the yearbook for 1982 or 1983, you'll see that many of those teachers back then resembled tonight's speaker. But today, the faculty collectively is a bit less pale and male than it used to be. And if you look at a campus map for 1982 or 1983, there's a bunch of names you would not see. Armfield, you wouldn't see Armfield. Barbie, you wouldn't see Barbie. Armfield, Barbie, Kahn, Dowdhouse, Gillespie, Griffin, Hazel, Johnson, Keenan, Manning, Morell, Palomar, Robertson, Steele, Terry. And there's a whole lot more names I haven't mentioned. So you can tell, if you've lived on this campus in the last 40 years, you've lived on or adjacent to a building site. And the third major change, of course, that's taken place all across the whole world, is that we are in a transition from a print culture to a digital culture. So far it seems that print is well suited to fact, whereas digital lends itself to friction. But perhaps that'll change. As for a similarity between Woodbury in the 1980s and Woodbury today, well, I would just suggest if you really want to identify such a similarity, the person to speak to would be an alumnus who will be here soon for a reunion weekend. And I'm sure that any alumnus would be happy to tell you what it is about this school's mission that is most meaningful to him. I've been thinking a lot about the school's mission recently. I've been thinking about that plaque at the entrance of the Walker Building, which urges us to moral integrity and intellectual thoroughness. I've been thinking about the signs in the dorms, which urge us to build our character and take care of each other. And I've been wondering whether a small number of people can make a difference. So I'd like to tell you about an episode in history that over the last few weeks has kind of captured my attention. It centers on the Russian dissidents of the 1960s and the 1970s. And at the heart of that dissident movement, there were about 1,000 people. so probably not much more than twice the number of people in this auditorium. And among the most famous were the physicist Sakharov and the novelist Solzhenitsyn. And I've been trying to figure out why this has captured my imagination. I think it's the confluence of the times that we're living in and my retirement and this place. So, several reasons why these dissidents have caught my imagination. Well, first, they were brave. Churchill said, "Courage is the greatest quality because it makes all the other qualities possible." And these dissidents in Russia in the 60s and 70s, they risked their careers, their children's prospects, and their friendships. Some of them were sent into internal exile, some of them were confined to psychiatric facilities. Second, they wanted to take care of others around them, just like that poster says in the norms. They were patriots. They wanted to live in a better society. Third, they exhibited moral integrity, just like that sign says outside the Walker Building. Most of them were brought up as true believers. That is, they believed in the original idealistic vision for their country. But the evidence in front of their eyes convinced them to change their minds. They felt their country was heading in the wrong direction. They wanted to get it back on track, and so they changed their minds. A great economist was once accused of inconsistency, and he would have none of it. He snapped back immediately. When the facts change, I change my mind. What do you do? And the fourth reason is that these dissidents exemplified intellectual thoroughness. They were scientists and mathematicians and writers, so they tried to use their writings, novels, articles, essays, to change the climate of opinion in Russia. They wanted their government to follow the Russian constitution, which surprisingly had a lot of freedoms and rights in it. And they wanted the Russian government to honor its international agreements. So they were actually law obeyers, not law breakers. But, as you know, the Russian government didn't respect freedom of the press and freedom of speech, and so they had to break the law in one very important way. They had to get around censorship. And so they created an underground industry in clandestine, illegal literature. It was known, George will give me better pronunciation tomorrow, I'm sure, but this was known as samizdat, which literally means self-produced writings. And these dissidents, they spent long hours at a typewriter reproducing these texts for each other. These writings in samizdat were authentic and they spoke the language of truth. And for those on the fringes of the movement, these writings may have carried the pleasurable frisson of danger, of contraband, the illicit, the forbidden. But for the dissidents themselves, it was very dangerous to have these manuscripts in your apartment. And the final reason why I've enjoyed learning about these Russian dissidents, and I'm only just beginning to learn about them, is that while the context of their lives was very different to the context of our lives, they were like us in many ways, similar but different. They had, for example, a wonderful sense of humor. They knew that they were amateurs going up against hardened professionals. So they had to use a code when they were on the telephone. But they had a joke about it because they realized their code wasn't terribly good. Did you finish the pie? We'll finish the pie tonight. When you're done, pass it on to Volodya. It's hard to imagine that if he had intercepted a conversation like this one, Vladimir Putin, in his years as a KGB officer in Dresden, in Cold War East Germany, would have been deceived. There's a second, equally unreliable story. It concerns a dissident who takes a huge stack of paper to the typist. And the typist looks at this stack of paper. Do you realize there's 1,200 pages here? And then the typist takes another look at this stack of papers. This is War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. Don't you know that you can purchase this in the bookstore? And the dissident says, oh yes, I know that, but I want my son to read it. That's a joke. because it was off limits, possibly the sun was going to read it. So it's nice to know that even in the Cold War, in the Soviet Union, they had dad jokes. And they needed these jokes because they knew that the odds were against them and what they were doing was dangerous. When they gathered together, they would raise their glasses of vodka and they would offer a toast to the success of our unfortunate cause. Well, in the long run, their cause was successful. The rulers of Russia did eventually adopt some of those same arguments that had been made earlier by the dissidents. One dissident was asked why he had engaged in this dangerous, unfortunate cause. And his reply was, if not me, then who? And perhaps in a small way, we echo that idea each week when we gather right here and we recite the boy's prayer. Thank you.
Thank you to Mr. Kendall. Congratulations again to all inductees. That brings to a close our assembly. A reminder that if you are a member of the Cum Laude Society, you're warmly invited to a reception in this building. And lastly, if you would also please make sure that you give time for a photograph out in the gallery. That would be terrific. Congratulations, everyone. Have a great evening. Thank you very much.